No, no, not the spoons, not the spoons. Fuck. I have a mug right here. What's up? There we go. It's too cold to go outside, so god damn it. There we go. Focusing on something back there. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I gotta get up at 7 every morning to get my son up to go to school. That's my actual schedule, and I would have figured some folks would have picked up on that because I heard a few remarks about how often I'm on YouTube. Probably a little more than I should be, but it's the end of the year. Well, it's school year, so really not much to study for. And I relegate my time for study. I prioritize it. Everything else is free time because I don't have a job right now. My job is school. And those are my Pop-Tarts. Wanted to continue a little bit and talk about the Mooncalves that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. Some of us more than others. And one of the things that I kind of got to thinking about was the start of certain shows, like Talking Shit Tuesday. How many people remember when Talking Shit Tuesday actually started? Because I don't. It's been around for a while, but before Talking Shit Tuesday, what did we all watch? Well, I say I participate in Talking Shit Tuesday, so I really don't get to watch it. Watch the Magic Sandwich Show. Back when it was in its prime. Love Magic Sandwich Show. Whole host of folks who know way more about science and sometimes philosophy, way more than I do. And occasionally they bring on a few would-be CCP members. And you'd see these guys, and some of them were actually CCP members that we deal with today, and they would try their damnedest to trounce the likes of Concordance, which quite a few people know his background. D.P.R. Jones, Arn Ra, Matt Dillahunty, whoever the special guest was, and D.P.R. would be terribly, terribly sorry, to have to interrupt every time they said something fucking stupid. He had to. It was a compulsion. DPR has a compulsion. Because what he was hearing just made no sense. He gave them no quarter. None whatsoever. To which, some folks complain, like, hey, who is this fucking guy who may or may not be sober? Why is he interrupting me every few sentences? I would say few words. He's not that bad. Not all the time. But when you have somebody like Neffy, who just goes on these long 10-minute fucking, soliloquies? I think that's what they're called. Where do you draw the line? Where do you go? Hold on for a second, bub. We're starting off on the wrong foot. If you're going to spend the next fucking 15 minutes pontificating upon something you got just this horrible, misrepresentation of, then what's the point of letting you continue? Right? Because if you're starting off... I missed. If you're starting off with, evolution can't be true because Stegosaurus bones, then you're probably not going to end very well. So, what happened? as Magic Sandwich Show, kind of was coming to an end abruptly. Needed something to fill the gap. Needed something to talk about some of these interactions, because back in the day, you see a nephew, Tommy Hall, Brett Keane, a True, even a G-Man. They have these interactions. Throat's still messed up. Sorry. You wouldn't have just one main attraction for that. You'd have a few. You have a few interactions, and then it's like, wow. Sorry about that. I just fucked up. The other day, you'd have a few interactions, and there was really no way to like quantify, like, over the course of a week, how many times you heard some terrible argument being trotted out by one or more members of that little circle, because it was just stupid. Like, there's just asinine. Like, I can't even pull up my mental thesaurus, because I've mastered the English language, obviously, and memorized the dictionary. But we said, fuck it. If Magic Sandwich Show is gonna be our Sunday morning ritual, morning relative, what about throughout the week? What are all the stuff from Wednesday on to Monday? We have a recap. We'll recap a lot of the stupid shit and highlight like the most egregious and make a show out of it. That really wasn't the thought process. It was more like, hey, let's sit down and talk about some of this crazy shit. And it just kind of happened. Talking Shit Tuesday wasn't really an intentional effort like many people make it out to be. We said, well, fuck it. I've had this. Oh yeah, I remember he said this to me. Oh yeah. So it just flowed. It wasn't anything malicious, because it's more like Daniel Tosh 2.0 kind of thing, where he highlights stupidity, but then he offers people a web redemption, I think it's called. People, if you look at the old episodes of Talking Shit Tuesday, you'll see a lot of people in there. You'll see a whole lot of people come in there. Arcane would usually come in there, and he would joust with JD Kane, because if we're talking shit about you, about the stuff that you've said, you have a right to defend yourself. And on our show, you can end up, making it look like we have egg on our face. There's that opportunity. But as time went on, as some of the dynamics changed, and we began to have more and more interactions, the Nadia 24-hour hangouts, I think people just kind of got burned out. Because interactions with folks used to be something that was at least somewhat special. Because you can sit and have Neffy pontificate upon nothing for 30 minutes at a time. And then maybe he'll interact with somebody, feeling froggy, and they'll jump in there with him. And then Neffy might get him in the old rope-a-dope. Maybe, maybe not. But things have changed. So now where are we? What's the point, Drag? Why are you bringing up history? Landscape changes based on those who inhabit it. That's true for any arena. If the quality of people you deal with is low, then the landscape is going to be, well, you guessed it, shitty. If there's such a disparity between those who are deliberating claims and those who are putting them forth, then there's really nowhere you can meet in the middle ground. So what you end up getting is just a highlight reel of said stupidity. But if the people putting forth the claims are such that they are so uneducated, so inept, that they can't even introspect, then it really doesn't do much good for them to have people to come to them and say, well, you know what? Cordially, Here's what's wrong with your argument. Because they're too full of themselves to even see fault. Okay. So then what do? How do you approach folks who are too inept to see the flaws in their own arguments? Because if you actually go back on my channel, and I'm not saying you should do this if you're bored enough, you look at early videos that I made, I used to argue the Bible. Lately, when have you heard me even reference the Bible? Probably because I didn't have my head so far up my ass that I didn't understand where my limitations were. Now, compare that to the people that I talk to. Think of how many of them are beyond reproach. Consider that for a second. Now consider how many of them complain that I highlight their stupidity and I focus on it, as if I had any other choice. Because if folks are pointing out that what they're saying, for one, is factually wrong, and they have not invested enough time to investigate it, then what other course of action should then be taken? Because you've tried that route. You've tried to be cordial. You've tried to sit down and deliberate it, but they don't have the skill set nor the knowledge to do so. But when shows and when events happen, Talking Shit Tuesday, Dumb Fuck of the Year, where do these people think that this stuff came from? How do you think all this got started? Why do you think it's so popular? I forget about Talking Shit Tuesday half the time. People have to remind me. It's not something I wait all week and go, oh man, and when JD came, getting ready to talk some shit. It's more like a chore. And if there's no dumb fuckery, then there's not much to talk about. When we start talking about politics, and then, it's a hit and miss. But it has never dawned upon the people that get brought up on Talking Shit Tuesday that their own ineptitude fuels the show. And there was a point where we would just kind of goad them along and, encourage them to say stupid shit just so we'd have material. Of course. Make no bones about that. It's funny shit. But after a while, we figured out that these folks don't realize, or they refuse to realize, that their ineptitude is there. And it's glaring. For anyone that has a modicum of intelligence, you can see the holes. You can see why these arguments tend to be fallacious. You see why their, deference to non-scientific sources is not the best idea in the world. So what now? So we get people who are upset because when they come to the Google Tubes, this is their release. They feel some type of, catharsis, because they get to come on here and they get to be something more than they actually are. They get to pretend to be some science juggernaut. They get to pretend to be some health guru. They get to pretend to be some spiritual motivator and mover. They get to pretend to do all kinds of stuff. But the shows that some of us participate in, surely, we take a bat to that and we beat it to death. Because we highlight reality. We highlight the fact that a lot of these folks spurn formal education because they failed in life. Because they know that they can't stand in the shoes of the people that they disagree with. Oh, but I've heard it. I've heard it from a lot of them. Oh yeah, I could do with drag. Oh yeah. Anybody can go get a degree. Yeah. Anybody can go sit in the class and memorize stuff. I said, okay. I've been hearing that before I went to school. That's not the argument. Dragnet doesn't think he's who he is because he started going to school. People forget that my first few years on YouTube, I was working. I was in the military. I was working a lot longer, harder days than most people who care to realize it. At least 10-hour days every day. Especially on the weekends, since I worked at a training base. Didn't have internet. Had some books, though. Went and rented some books. In the library, you know, that place with all the books. Go there sometime. I am who I am all those years ago, but now I'm a better person. And again, not because I decided to obtain, you know, formal education, is because I decided to challenge my fucking self. And that, yeah, if you are unable to see your own limitations and put off this air about you that you are beyond reproach, then people are going to ridicule you. If you can't take that, then you probably shouldn't be on the internet. In all honesty, it's a hard lesson, but it's a good lesson. It's a very good lesson. What do they say? If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. And I don't mean permanently. Some people need a chance to just say, you know what? I need to get away from here. Too much going on. I'm tired of people saying that I don't know this, so I'm going to actually take some time to go learn it. And I'll tell you how I did that. Because there was a period where I took a hiatus from YouTube. Because when I first came on here, I didn't know all the stuff I know about science. I don't even think I know a whole lot now. I know more than I did back then, but I took some time. I watched some hangouts, and I participated in some. Because I still remember getting rope-a-dope by Brett King. And trust me, that's something you don't forget. When Brett King got over on me, I remember that. And I said, well, I can just say Brett King is a stupid fucking good for nothing and just insult him from, you know, here to Timbuktu. Or I can go, I didn't make a very good argument. Let me go look at what I said and reevaluate my claims and change my approach. I could have been mad. I could have been upset. I could have blamed him and everyone else. But I looked inward and saw what I needed to do in order to become better. Because I don't have the luxury, like some of these Mooncalves, to wrap myself in this veil of protection called religion. I don't have that luxury. I don't have the, oh, I'm a Christian martyr victim because people are saying bad things. I'm just expressing my Christian, very innocent opinion here. Fuck that. If you can't stand up on your own 2 feet, don't talk to me about being a man. Don't talk to me about people not being cordial to you. Don't talk to me about empathy. Don't talk to me about anything until you've gotten your affairs in order. Because I'm not going to hear it. People have been more than empathetic toward lots of people. Hell, if anybody's been following my channel, I do at least one charity a year. At least one charity. Not because I have to, because it's a promise that I made to myself many years ago, being a victim of a natural disaster. So I don't want to hear, well, these guys have no empathy. We show empathy where it deserves to be shown. But just because you perceive yourself as being some, you know, religious victim, doesn't mean that everyone's just going to kowtow to you anytime you fucking feel like it. Because that's what I feel sometimes. I feel like a lot of these guys get over on folks. They have these expectations because they've been coddled. And it's weird. It's weird because they come from all different walks of life. Some are homegrown Southern boys who've been coddled by American society and told that it's because of they won the genetic lottery with certain genes that they are inherently better than others. and that they don't have to try hard because of that inherent superiority. Others have used their victimhood as a way to get over on folks and to proclaim that arguments are personal rather than factual. And even more, some have completely shit the bed, don't understand the topic, don't have the patience nor the skill set to even begin to comprehend the gravity of the situation, and just find it easier to expect everyone else to acquiesce to their positions because they feel strongly about something. How the hell do these people think that they can get over on everyone else who actually who have to try hard, who have to learn from their mistakes, who have to be told that they're wrong, who have to say, you know what, I'm going to bite the bullet? How? Why? Where? When? Who? Lots of questions. Yeah. You know what I don't see? I don't see these folks holding hangouts where they're going over papers. I don't see these folks bringing on subject matter experts, asking them questions. I don't see these folks deliberating claims of others. I don't see stuff like that. Maybe it happens off air. I doubt it. Maybe I'm just not subscribed to the right channels at the right times. I doubt it. What I have seen are a group of individuals who will pull themselves into the most elegant circle jerk around and will shit talk everyone else who disagrees with them, and on rare occasion invite said people in to challenge them. And when I say challenge, I mean get out a few words and then talk them down. Not actually interested in having a dialogue, because debating someone is not yelling at someone and interrupting them every time they fucking speak. Few people have contacted me and said, you know, so-and-so is over here saying you don't know how to debate. I said, yeah, I know. Driving, you think that's funny? The hell he thinks he is. He's a motherfucker on the internet. That's who he is. You ain't gonna say nothing about that drag? Not really. I'm gonna tell you why. Throughout my life, I've learned a few things. I've learned that you can face challenges head on. And once you face those challenges, you really don't look back. I've learned what I needed to learn. And one of those things, specifically referencing this, is that my faults, my limitations are front and center. And that I can see them. It's on a rare occasion that I miss my own faults. If the person or persons offering their critiques of me can't correct themselves, I tend to disregard what they've said. And not just picking and choosing. Let me be very specific here. If someone is suggesting that I correct a fault, and this fault within the realm of, let's say, communication, they themselves can barely communicate, I'm probably not going to listen to them. This is a reference to the previous video where I said I'm not going to take child rearing advice from a pedophile. Same thing. I'm not going to be told to be nice by a person who thinks it's okay to get personal on a drop of a hat for no reason. Not going to happen. It relates to the advice that they're trying to give out. So if you don't have your own affairs in order in that particular arena, you probably shouldn't give other people advice about that arena. It's not to say people's opinions aren't valid, but if you can't even introspect, if you can't take the advice of others in that arena, why should anybody listen to you? I mean, it's a good question. It's like me getting on somebody for, let's say Skylar cusses Dole out or something like that. Who the hell am I to tell Skylar he can't cuss him out? You know what? Pot meet kettle. You know? I realize that before it even happens. A lot of these people don't have that thing in the back of their head. That, you know, that little kick in the back of the neck when hypocrisy kicks in. A lot of people don't have that for some reason. Maybe they can go to Lowe's or Home Depot and buy it or something. I don't know. Go and have it installed at AutoZone. I don't know. It's weird. Very weird. These Pop-Tarts are good. But all the while I find it odd that some of these same people, some of these same individuals are having the time of their life emulating me. That's what I find interesting and almost creepy. Actually, I do find it a bit creepy. I've had numerous people in the last month point out how there's a few people who have some very glaring opinions of me are actually trying to emulate me in many ways. And what do they say? Imitation is the best form of flattery? Something like that. I think it's cute. You know, I don't even mind to a certain degree. Because why not, right? But just a word of advice. If you're going to emulate me, there is something about me that sets me apart from other people. And if I can shove my own head up my own ass for a second, it is my willingness to not be beyond reproach. I'm not saying that I'll roll over the second someone says something, but to actually sit down and listen to people. And listen, not hear. Hearing is passive. Active listening. And then to make sure that I understand. Because one of the things that I hate is to have an entire conversation where people are talking past one another, because it's a waste of fucking time. You can't have a dialogue. You can't ask anyone to be cordial, any of that shit, if you don't even understand a person. Especially people who don't have significant others. Which is probably why they don't have a significant other. If you're not a good listener, you ain't getting no poo-tang. Sorry. If you want to be me, challenge your fucking self. Go beyond that of which other people revel in a day-to-day basis. Being mediocre is not me. You can't half-ass being me. If you're going to do that. If you are really interested in trying to break out of that mold and not be considered a CCP member. If you're trying to be something more. Something that people actually look up to. Then that's one of the first steps you can fucking take. So, just a word of advice. Because carbon copies are few and far between. It's hard being genuine. It's hard saying a lot of my positions are provisional. Most of which are provisional. So I have to have something to back it up. And when I don't, I have to acknowledge that. And I have to have a little egg on my face from time to time. Remembering those times is important. And that's why I find it strange. I really find it strange when some of these individuals try to play this tit for tat game. Because if you correct me, that somehow is a point, that's somehow currency on Google. Well, if you correct me, let's see what happens. Jesus. 12 boxes. God damn. If you correct me, that then humbles me and allows me to go, you know what? I'm not beyond reproach. There's misinformation somewhere. I need to go rectify that. Now I have gained knowledge. No, I didn't finish the video at midnight. That's what happens when you correct me. I tend to remember the corrections. There's an old video, speaking of which, about when I was talking about the Bible, where 13 Heathens actually tells me, no, there's over like 600 something Judaic laws, and I'd given only a small number. Again, that correction then led me to go, okay, if there's more to this theology, there's more to this book that I don't understand, I'm going to have to actually take some time so I don't make that mistake in the future. It wasn't just, well, let me not make that mistake. That specific one, there's context here. There's more reading that needs to be done. So that's just a small example. Mind you, this happened well over, it's about to be 2018. This happened almost 4 years ago. And I still remember that. I still remember it. That comment's still on my page right now, on my YouTube, whatever. And I thanked him for it. I didn't get mad at 13. I corrected you, 13, because you said something wrong. I didn't do that. Why? Why? There's no point. So, if you are trying to watch my videos and glean something, you really don't have to try too hard, because I will fucking tell you. I'm fairly transparent. At least I like to think so. So, take this bit of advice. If you really want to become a better person, remove head from ass. Step 1. Step 2, active listening. Step 3, sit your ass down and look up positions that are counter to your own. Oh, that's one. If you're trying to research why evolution is bad, you don't type into fucking Google proof against evolution. Only an idiot does that. It's like going to evilbible.com to read the Bible for the first time. Probably a bad idea. Here's how Dragnet would do it. I go and I would get an actual Bible, not the Skeptic's annotated one. Go and get King James Version, whatever, and just read it. Afterwards, if you have critiques, write them down as you read it. And then look up what people say on this side and that side, and then deliberate, and then have conversations. That's how you conduct research. That is how you go about things impartially. But it's strange. It's really strange. And it may have to do with people's background. Because I think that if you're not in an environment that's conducive for critical thought, it's going to hamper you as an adult. And so all these type of, devices that we use, like analogies and stuff like that, if you've not grown up in that environment to kind of train you in order to read between the lines, in order to find, there's a tacit meaning here, there's a connotation, there's a denotation. If you've not grown up in that environment, then you sure as hell are going to struggle as an adult. Way hard. You're going to get to things like, not understanding what hyperbole is. And, even worse, not understanding why, not understanding that's a bad thing. So, let me bring this back. With all of this in mind, with all of this kind of encapsulated within the dialogue that has all but stalled, where do we go? We say, all right, let's stop doing dumb fuck of the year. It's mean, it's hurtful. Let's not do it. Let's stop doing Talking Shit Tuesday. Talking shit about people bad. Okay. So, what are you gonna do? Well, we'll all go to Steve McRae. Well, Steve McRae's channel, they're just there to make fun of creationists. That's all. And Steve's just gonna talk over everyone, and no one's gonna spend too many people, and Steve's a big meanie head, and he looks like Gandalf. Okay. So then what? Well, Nadia's not around. Okay. Oh, so maybe the so the people who are perpetual victims, are they going to then open up hangouts? Say, okay, since you guys stopped these hangouts that was spawned from our unwillingness to even engage, now we're going to decide that we want people to come in, and it's going to be open expression. We're going to have exchanges. People are going to be given adequate time. We're going to, make sure that things are fairly regulated. No, that's not going to happen. No, it's not. And let's be real. Congratulations, Shani and Rev News. They're an item. That's not going to happen. The reason these things exist is because you have people who are upset that their ideas are being put under fire, that are unwilling to engage, who are scared, for the most part, to engage, and can't actually engage because they don't know enough about logic and enough about the topics they speak on. And it's really highlighted in some of the more recent hangouts. And if you go back and you listen to the hangout that I had with Doc Savage, RSC, Fiona, Sam, CRISPR, think about something for a second. Let me put this into perspective, folks. You had a guy who admittedly has no formal education in any of the topics that he's speaking on. And I'm referring to nutrition, biochemistry, etc., biology, whatever. None whatsoever. He was in a room with people who could easily fill up a small community college biology department. Very easily. Actually, more than enough people who could. One of them was a fucking physician. The things that Tommy was putting forth were demonstrably fucking false statements. And one thing, because I recognize one of them, because the scenario that he had posed, I had served that capacity. YouTube has pissed me off. One of the things that was glaring to me is that how much he didn't know about the topic. And you could tell because I had fucking lived it. I had trained in it. Again, this is before I went to school. I was trained to give vaccines. I was trained in triage. I was trained to do battlefield fucking surgery, which I spoke about when I hang out with RSC and Hogtie the other night. This is shit that I've actually done. I didn't go watch fucking YouTube videos. I didn't go and look at natural news. I didn't do any of this woo-woo bullshit. I actually lived it. And to hear him tell me and everyone else in there what goes on in a medical facility was almost surreal. Because I remember, and I actually make jokes about the grown men, the big infantrymen, the ones who have killed other men for a living, who relish in the idea of putting bullets through people's faces. I remember them screaming like girls. And it's funny to me. These big old guys. Guys that are my size. And Tommy had put forth that, well, they just give vaccines to anybody. You know, they could be allergic, no one knows. They just give it to anybody. I said, what? Are you serious? I remember helping folks give the class on how to qualify patients. I should know I was the junior enlisted that was actually in charge of the Troop Medical Center. So that's kind of important for me to know because I have to train all the other juniors who just come in. Because there's actually two roles to the job that I used to do. If you look up 68 Whiskey, 68W, it actually has two names. Healthcare Specialist and Combat Medic. One's a combat position, one's a combat support position. I've served both. In the healthcare specialist capacity, you are a paraprofessional to the medical officer in the facility. In this case, it was Captain Edmonds, physician's assistant. One of the things that he prided himself in and made sure that we all knew was patient education. He was a big stickler on that. The very thing Tommy insisted didn't happen. Again, I've lived this. And so I find it quite insulting that, based on no evidence at all, he could assert that people were just giving these cocktails of substances to people all willy-nilly, when in reality it could kill someone. They could have an anaphylactic fucking shock and die quite easily. Their throat hole would occlude and they would die if it's bad enough. So all those years of training, all those years of actually performing this function, and have some Yahoo, some uneducated Yahoo at that, tell me that I have purposely endangered people's lives is quite insulting. And I'm pretty sure the guy in the hangout who's actually made vaccines and the guy who is a trained medical professional who's ordered them for people might have felt some type of way. And me kind of in the middle, wondering, why the fuck am I entertaining this stupid ass? But I'm supposed to be nice, even though he's insulted myself and then the two people to my left and right. Because it is insulting. It is definitely insulting. But these guys seem not to understand that. See, when you actually have some type of authority and some type of influence over people's lives, you take that shit seriously. You take it very, very seriously. And I find it interesting that a lot of these guys don't seem to understand that. But don't get me wrong. I appreciate Tommy coming and playing along. But he shouldn't be upset when there's some backlash when he says something as inflammatory and as stupid as that. It's going to happen. If I go out and start saying that religion is a mental illness, I should get flack too. Because it's fucking stupid. It doesn't matter. It's inflammatory and people know it. So you don't get to come out here with brass balls and then stand up and say, well, this is just what I believe, and not catch flack. That's not how this works. Again, that goes back to this mentality of people being fucking coddled. Because some of these same people are trying to pull other people's man cards. And when I don't see any of them as men at all. Especially the one who continuously references masculinity and has some of the softest fucking hands I've ever felt on a man in my life. It is what it is. You can feel hurt. You can feel insulted. Them's the facts. It is what it is. Don't expect people to pull punches when you are too stupid to understand the gravity of the situation. Because people are already pulling punches. A lot. Just think of how much people have to dumb down themselves to have these conversations. That's something that people really don't, and I say people on that little corner, consider how much knowledge some of these people have. Just pick, you know what? Let me pluck Hogtie. Consider how much Hogtie has to dumb himself down to have these conversations. It's a lot. A lot. For those of us who actually know Hogtie's background, which I will continuously reference just to highlight how cordial he's been over the years and how quickly some of these folks turned on him. He's had to dumb himself down to a 6th grade level just to have some of these conversations with people who really don't appreciate that. And it's sad. They should be happy that he's even taken the time to spread a little bit of the decade of knowledge that he has acquired and the stuff that he has actually experienced, because he references it very, 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 very rarely does he actually reference, but he has taught individuals to have the same type of authority that he has, or he had at one point, I should say. So, what are the outcomes of actually sitting down and listening to an individual like that? Well, let me tell you. I was able to skate through entire courses just from the information that I've gleaned from Hogtie, from Fiona, from Jade, from Sam, from Rational Mind. I was able to skate through several courses just on their information alone. And I thank them for that. Their contributions here, their willingness to dumb themselves down for the rest of us, led to my success. And I'm grateful. And I will make sure that they know that, because I like to show appreciation. So it's sad. It's really sad that we have to continue kowtowing to some of these folks. This chat keeps going by fast. I don't know who this cat is. I don't really care. But don't you think it's interesting? Don't you think it's funny? Because all the while, these guys need to be up under each other's ass. They need to kiss each other's asses in order to feel validated. Because they can't lean on their own accomplishments. They can't lean on the merits of their own arguments. So they're stuck in this perpetual fucking circle jerk. Because we know if we were to set up a competition, what's better for America? What's better for, this is better for science. Let's put these motherfuckers in a room. Let's put folks who have already accomplished a lot in another room. Let's have a competition between who can produce something that's for the betterment of society. Do you think this group of fucking bunch of monkeys fucking a coconut are actually going to do anything? Or the people who actually have knowledge and skill and education, or are they going to do something? Let's cut the bullshit. You have incompetence and idiocy versus competence and excellence. But yet, the incompetent ones are the ones who want everyone to bend over backwards for them. Why? Why do you deserve that? Empathy? Empathy. Okay. You know what's empathy? Empathy is showing appreciation for the folks who have actually been cordial, who actually do spend some time explaining this stuff while you're insulting them in their profession and their colleagues. That's empathy. If you somehow miss that, then I don't know what to tell you. It's strange. It's very, very strange. Because it seems like common sense to most of us. But yet, here we go. Once again. Playing fucking pigeon chess with mooncalves. One step at a time. So, I don't know if I'll make a part 3 unless I get inspired. I don't want the shit to be too repetitive. But I did want to make one announcement though. I mentioned this before. Not maybe I mentioned last video. I think maybe. I make too many videos. Maybe I mentioned. I don't know. So, folks have asked for a kind of I guess a repeat of what happened during my interview with Emperor Atheist, where I brought multiple personalities in there, and we started chopping it up. Evidently, people liked the interaction between me and P and the Emperor Atheist, so I floated the idea to MP, and he loves the idea. There is a channel where me, MP, and a few other black non-believers kind of got together, and we started chopping it up, and it was pretty entertaining for the few people who did catch it. And so we might do that again. But now I'm just kind of playing around with the ideas here. You see I've written something down up here. But I'm pretty sure Emperor would love the idea too. But we're thinking about having something. I don't know how regular, just all three of us getting together. Yeah, it was a live hangout. But we're probably going to talk about the Black Atheist experience, dealing with some of our family members, dealing with co-workers, and kind of the stigma, the various stigmas that exist, and how we deal with people like Arcane and G-Man on a personal level, while also dealing with the dynamics of being like black in America, because it is a very interesting dynamic. Because, you know, if you have someone who is just fulfilling so many racial stereotypes, it's kind of hard to say, well, you want to be inclusive and help folks out. Not sure in the next journal club. Sam's working on 3 projects, and I'm finishing up the semester, so probably not till like next year. We'll probably do another journal club like next year. And that's one of the reasons too that Sam's not going to waste time for this 2-on-2 debate bullshit, unless one of these fuckers are going to code for him, and I'm sure as hell not. So yeah, journal clubs for some reason they're really low views and shit. So you know, but there are people who want us to do another journal club, but it's been put on the back burner for right now. Ask some of the CCP members, maybe they can do a journal club. Oh, that reminds me. Who remember when Ken Jones says, you know what, I'm tired of talking shit Tuesday. I'm going to make my own. And he did Talking Christ Tuesday. Y'all remember how many of these folks showed up for Talking Christ Tuesday? I showed up. I watched almost every episode. Not come up in the chat. And me and JD, as soon as we would end it, we'd be like, all right, Ken, hey, go ahead. And we tell people, Ken's about to start. Go watch Talking Christ Tuesday. And G-Man would pop in for a little bit, and it would be just mainly just Ken Jones. Maybe that didn't catch on. I wonder why. Really interesting. Wish it'd come back. But yeah. So I'm going to talk to Emperor Atheist a little bit later. But yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure he'll like the idea. If some of our religious counterparts want to come on and challenge YouTube Atheist, you don't respect religious beliefs. Oh God, G-Man's live. At least he waited till I was about to end. So go ahead and go watch G-Man's show and listen to all the nice little straw mans he has ready for me. So he's feeling some type of way. Oh well. But if some of our religious counterparts want to come and chat, if G-Man wants to come and, you know, have his input, by all means, because I have some very interesting opinions about working with really, really, really religious black folks. I have some very interesting opinions about that. So, some people may not like it. Oh well. But I'll save that till later. Once we get a time frame, it'll probably be in the afternoon. I'll let folks know, and I'll make a hangout notification, and so people can spread it around. But but yeah, we'll work on that. So anyway, folks, I'm gonna go sit on my recliner and listen to him talk about fucking nothing. Y'all funny.